Who is the best Lord of the Rings character? Well, it's of course Legolas. So, this is my Legolas archer build. We're also going to be dual wielding, just like he does in the films and the novels, but where do we begin? Well, let me show you. We are going to do level by level with their combat tutorial and a bunch of items and options for items for you to use. Now, to start this build, we are starting with Rogue. Reason being is, number one, we want the sneak attack. So, this is basically just extra damage on top of what we already do. It's amazing. I love playing rogues. What this also gives us is a bunch of proficiencies. Simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, short swords, longbows, short bows, light armor, and a bunch of skills to choose from. So we continue with our rogue class. And when it comes to your ability score points, you want something that looks like this. We're going to take 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 16 constitution, 10 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 10 charisma. And I'll show you why as we go through the build. Now for proficiencies, take whatever you feel like Legolas would use. I think acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth are your best options. If you wanted to, you could get rid of, say, stealth and throw in athletics. Choice is yours. And then from your expertise, do a similar choice. Pick 2 that you think fit Legolas the most. So let's just take acrobatics and sleight of hand. Now of course this build works best when you choose an elf, obviously, Legolas being an elf, and high elves just give you a range of other options as well when it comes to their abilities. Okay, at level 2 you're going to dip over to Fighter. Now this gives us second wind, which allows us to use a bonus action to heal ourselves, but more importantly, it gives us our fighting style. And for this one we are going to take archery, so we're going to +2 bonus to ranged weapon attacks. And this is really handy because as far as this build is powerful, for the early levels you are going to be slightly lacking behind just because you are multi-classing so early. So this +2 bonus to attack can really help out. Okay, at level 3 we're actually going to play a little bit risky. We're going to go with Ranger, and we're going to get our first class into Ranger. This again gives us a bunch of proficiencies that we probably already have from both Rogue and Fighter combined. But this gives us our favoured enemy. Now for me, there are so many good options, but if we're going to do this, your choice should be Bounty Hunter. Gain proficiency in investigation. Creatures you hit with Ensnaring Strike have disadvantage on their saving throws. And Ensnaring Strike is a really solid spell or ability you can use that really just ties people down. Very, very good early level. You also have your Natural Explorer, and in my honest opinion, the only ones worth taking are your Wasteland Wanderers. So pick any you want to start with. For the beginning of the game, I'd recommend Fire. And then again, for your proficiency, pick anything. Okay, at level 4, we're going to continue with our Fighter. We now have access to Action Surge. And the reason we're doing this here is because if you were to just do a pure build, mostly at level 4, you'd have your first ASI or your first feat. So we're countering that by having Action Surge now available. At level 5 we stick with Fighter, and for this we are getting our specialization. So of course we're doing Battle Master because it's probably the best specialization to use for this build. And it's because it gives us a bunch of stuff like this. Now the first maneuver we're going to take is Disarming Attack. Spend a superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly forces the target to drop the weapons they are holding. This is amazing because if you fire this off of your bow at the person attacking your tank, you're instantly helping your tank even more. You can collect their weapon and sell all sorts of fun stuff like that. The next one we're going to do is Pushing Attack. Spend a superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly pushes the target back 4.5 meters. Again, this comes in really handy if you have this enemy sort of charging towards your backliners or your more squishy characters like your wizard, or if your tank is just being swarmed. It's a nice way of just holding back the line a little bit. And then finally, for your last maneuver, we're going to take Trip Attack. Spend a superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly knocks the target prone. Now please note, the target must be large or smaller, so this won't work on giants, for example. But again, another nice way of just knocking an enemy down and then making them even easier to hit. Okay, at level 6, we take our fighter to level 4, and this gives us access to our first feat. Now you probably know where we're going with this, and we are immediately coming out the gate with Sharpshooter. Now Sharpshooter is amazing, because number 1, completely dissolve high ground rules, which means you can now shoot people higher above you, and there's no penalty. It also means we can take a solid -5 to our attack roll, and remember we do get a +2 already now from our archery fighting style, so theoretically this is just a -3. But it will add an additional 10 damage solidly on top. So this is great. If you are in a situation where you're hitting everything very, very easily, turn this on. If it's only a -3, you're still probably going to hit everything really easily, but an extra solid 10 damage is incredible. And then at level 7, we take our fighter to level 5, and we gain access to that extra attack, which now means we can make 2 solid attacks, and then if it's available, we can use our action surge and get another 2 attacks. Okay, it is at this point, at level 8, we're going to take our rogue to level 2, because we want access to our cunning actions. This means we can now hide, which is amazing, we can dash, and we can disengage, all as bonus actions. Okay, it is at this point at level 8, we're going to take our fighter to level 6 to gain access to the next feat. And for this we're going to take our ASI, we're going to bump our dex up to 18. Okay, at level 9 we're going to take Ranger to level 2. This will give us access to a bunch more options. And to begin with we have our spells. So we're going to start with Ensnaring Strike. Your attack summons thorny vines that possibly ensnare your target. And remember, this ties in really well with our ability we took at the start of the game. And we're also going to take Hunter's Mark. It's a bonus action, but it means we can basically, as long as we concentrate on this spell, we'll do an additional 1 to 6 damage on top of our hits. And for this one we are going to take 2 weapon fighting. When you make an attack roll with your offhand weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the attack. At level 10 we're going to take our Ranger to level 3 to get our specialization. Before that we have a spell. We can do Hail of Thorns, or you can do Long Strider. The choice is yours. I would probably take Long Strider in my honest opinion and get the extra movement speed. And for a subclass we are going to take the Gloomstalker for the sole reason we want Dread Ambusher. Again, a +3 bonus to initiative. The first round of combat we have an extra 3 meters of movement, and we can make a special extra attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage, very similar to the extra damage that a Battle Master maneuver will give us. Okay, at Ranger level 4 we have another feat, and you can probably guess where we're going with this. We're going to take our dex to 20. And then at level 12 we're going to take Rogue to level 2, just to give us a little bit extra on our bonus, on our sneak attack, as well as our cunning actions to hide, dash and disengage. Okay, so that was our build, level 1 to 12. Let's go over the items. So, let's start with our cloak. Now, I personally would use the Cloak of Displacement. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls. That targets the wearer, and this will last until we take damage. So essentially this makes us even harder to hit, and if we are at the back just raining arrows, this should last for a pretty long time. When it comes to boots, we're going to take the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. Number 1 gives us Misty Step, allows us to get to the high vantage points, which is amazing. And number 2, it allows us to not be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, can't slip on ice or grease. A nice way of just ensuring we get around the battlefield. For armour, I would personally take the Elven Chain. Number 1, we gain proficiency with it, even if we're not proficient, but a +2 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on dexterity saving throws, which is amazing. Now if you really wanted to, what else you could do is you could take the Armour of Agility. This will allow you to add your armour class to the base of 17. So if you check down the bottom right, our armour class is currently 17. If we put this armour on, we end up with 23 armour class. It does give you saving throw +2, and this is very similar to UNT Scale Mail. Now this gives you a +1 bonus to initiative, but the AC isn't quite as high. As you can see we put on, it's an AC of 21. So really the choice is yours. If you find that your initiative is so high that you don't need the Elven Chain, I'd probably go with the Armour of Agility or the UNT Scale Mail. For this, we're going to put the we're going to put the Armor of Agility on, because I feel like with a amazing initiative, if we come over, +9, pretty high, with a high dex, we should be able to be near the top of the turn order, if not the top of the turn order, every combat. So, you're probably going to want to take the Armor of Agility, but there are 2 other options for you. Now when it comes to gloves, Legacy of Masters, gain a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. This is perfect for our dual daggers. We're going to take the Crusher's Ring, movement speed +3. We're going to take the Strange Conduit Ring. While concentrating on the spell, whereas weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage, perfectly paired with Hunter's Mark. We're going to take the Surgeon's Subjection Amulet. So once per long rest, when scoring a critical hit, we can paralyze the target for 2 turns. Now this pairs nicely with our Bloodthirst. Improved critical. Number you need to roll a critical while attacking is reduced by 1, which now means it's only a 19 to hit. And we're using the Ambusher. This is an amazing weapon. In combat, you do an additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage against creatures that haven't taken a turn yet, as well as a +1 to initiative rolls and advantage on perception ability checks. And of course, what would be a Legolas build without a bow? It is of course the Dead Shot. The number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. And Keen Attack. The wielder doubles their proficiency bonus when rolling ranged attacks with this weapon. And this is perfect for Sharpshooter because it negates the entire negative. And now it's just basically a solid extra 10 damage every hit. So that is my Legolas items and build guide. Let's go find some combat and show this off. Okay, as you can see, combat has started and we are indeed top of the turn order. Now, we are going to start showing off some of our abilities. And first things first, we are going to Hunter's Mark this gentleman over here. So do a Hunter's Mark. And there you go. Now we do extra damage per hit. And what's really good about Hunter's Mark is that you can just reapply it without using a spell slot. Now first things first, you're going to want to come in here and you're going to start with your Dread Ambusher. 95% chance to hit, as well as Sharpshooter. And there you go, just like that, 38 damage. Now, we also have the ability to come in here with a Sneak Attack. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to, because we don't have advantage on that. But if we would come in here with a Sneak Attack, we could Sneak Attack this gentleman, because we have advantage thanks to them. So we can alternate between our bow and our arrows. So let's do a basic Sneak Attack. And there you go, little solid bit of damage, the extra 4 psychic because we're concentrating on a spell. And we still have another round of turns. So we could just do another standard attack. And there you go. This in turn means that if we were to run over here, out of danger, we could then action surge on the first round of combat, get our bow back out like such, and start raining death on some of these enemies. For example, let's target this one. And there you go, you'll see we're doing so much extra damage. And there you go, in round 1 we've taken out an 82 HP Barbarian. And there you go, you'll see our lovely cloak. And we got to attack him back. Now unfortunately, we did lose our displacement because we did take damage, but we held concentration. And now once again, because we're in this situation, let's just show off some of our maneuverability. We're going to start with Misty Step. So if we were to come, let's say over here. There you go, you have pulled your Legolas out of danger, and now we can really get in here and start firing some arrows down on everyone. Now, what we need to do as well is move our Hunter's Mark. You have to do this on a bonus action. Now sadly, because we moved, we can't, but what we can do instead is show off some of these attacks. So let's start with a disarming Battlemaster maneuver. And there you go, as you can see, dropped both weapons, and if we were closer, we could now run in, pick up the weapons, they'll be unable to do so. What we're going to do instead is we're going to try a pushing attack now. And there you go, we pushed them off the ledge, away from their weapons, and they took an extra 10 full damage. Not bad for an archer. And if you know the game well enough, or if you get through a battle and you notice things such as, let's say you know this one is a rogue, for example, that is the perfect time to do your disarming attack, because then they can't do that huge critical sneak attack. Or if you know it's a paladin with smites, or a barbarian who can hit hard, those are the perfect people to land this on. Now sadly they did save that one, but you do have 4 Battle Master maneuvers. So again, you could try another one. You could go with a pushing attack again. And there you go, we did the exact same thing, except this time they took so much full damage, we killed them. And then what we can do is we can maneuver ourselves over here, ready to strike this one. And again, this is the perfect situation for our Legolas to just start raining down some death. We do have other things such as ensnaring strikes. If we wanted to land this, it would use a spell slot, but we can. So let's do it at level 1. And there you go, 22 damage, and they're now ensnared. And this means we can continue with our insane damage output with a massive critical. And if we wanted to, we could paralyze them. We're not going to, we're going to do the sneak attack. And there you go, an extra 6 damage on top, because it's only 1 round of sneak attack, unfortunately.
Where do I go from here?
And what this means is, because they're ensnared, we have a very easy time. We can send our other rogue up here with another sneak attack. Oh, not quite, sorry. Let's do our cunning action. Now don't forget, our Legolas does also have this.
Another step forward.
So we'll come up here. And you'll see they took 3 damage from the vines, so we could just hold out, and they'll probably die next round, to be honest, because we get 10 turns of this. But we're not going to do that. We're going to finish the fight with another big sneak attack. Sneak attack range, and let's see this. And there you go, 29 damage. And that's what makes this build so good, is it's a great archer build, especially when you couple everything together. And you can really set this up to be the baseline DPS character you have, the one that helps control the battlefield as much as a wizard would, thanks to things like disarming attack and pushing attack. And, just so you know, if we check our thing here, you'll see we have 1 spell and 4 Battle Master maneuvers gone. So we've got 1 spell left and no Battle Master maneuvers. If you short rest, like that, you don't get your spells back, but you do get all 4 of your Battle Master maneuvers back, which means you get a lot of utility out of these from a distance thanks to using a bow. So that has been my Legolas Greenleaf build, the best character in Lord of the Rings. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, let me know in the comments below what you liked, what you do differently, what other items, all that fun stuff. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out tremendously, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.